It's a bear. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmore. We're Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals. I am back from the Keys. It was nice to get away for a couple days, but I admit it wasn't long enough. It's one of those deals where as soon as I was about to leave, I was just settling in. No less, that's the way it usually goes when you go on vacations, even if it's 2 weeks or whatever. Looks like the fish on the live camera smiling, and look at that group of snook going by. I mean, that's a major game fish in Florida. I was wondering why that the Bermuda chubs here were so nervous. They had their tails to the camera. They're swimming around looking. Look at the holy crap. That is like a sport fisherman's dream right there. There are so many snook down there, it's not even funny. So I'm going to look at this for just another brief second. Sorry, I know this is a precious metal show, but you know me, I like to deviate into different things. Well, I guess we'll cut out of here as much as I'd love to watch that huge pile of snook. They look like a school of snook going by, but they're really not schooling fish per se. All right, let's move into the markets here. Enough fishing. I guess I got my fishing out of my way here. So, let's do a quick refresh here. It's about sideways, man. 1760 right now. You know, low overnight, and again, I didn't see where that overnight low was. 1746.89 and a high of 1760. Not sure if that's Asian markets where we saw it dip below 1750 last night. I guess we could take a look, but you know what? Who cares? Sorry, it just is what it is. Today we won't take a look. 1760 currently in silver, 2224 on a low and 2266 on a high. Silver currently sitting at 2258, and platinum still sub $1,000, like a 945 to 968 range, $20 range. So markets overnight kind of moving in little, not too much. Again, look at 15 bucks on gold, 25 cents, 30 cents or so on silver, a little more than that, 40 cents or so swings, and platinum about 50, I think about 20 bucks, 23 bucks or something like that. Again, not a big deal, but look at palladium. That's really surprising. I didn't even bother to look. We don't talk about palladium much. That's not a good sign, actually. Palladium, 1888 right now. She's getting down into the lower levels here, and makes me wonder why. It has something to do with manufacturing. Probably an interesting story behind it, but since we don't follow palladium, and I don't watch it that often, I really can't talk about it. So what can we talk about? Well, I've got something I want to mention to you folks. To get something different, you must do something different. And I'm kind of deviating a little bit here at the beginning. I'm going to talk about precious metals here coming up. There's some interesting things. Central banks buying huge amounts of gold, cryptocurrencies, you know, you name it. There's you know, some topics we're going to talk about. But real quickly, what's going on in this country right now is they're talking about a $1.5 trillion spending on infrastructure, and a $3.5 trillion spending spree on whatever. I have no clue. There's all kinds of really unneeded and stupid stuff in this $3.5 trillion bill. I mean, listen, if we had the money, you know, if we were neck deep in cash, and we had, you know, we were at surpluses, and we weren't at wars, and our war, you know, and everything was in a perfect scenario, maybe we could do that. Maybe, I mean, no, I wouldn't advocate it really, because I just think it's just making federal government larger and larger and more powerful, and more hard to control for the people, which is getting pretty obvious right now. However, with this with $3.5 trillion package out there, I'm going to ask you all, if you get a chance, to call Joe Manchin. I am not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I guess I could fall more into a independent right now with some libertarian leanings. But I'm more of an independent right now if it comes to any party. I don't really care for either party at all in any way, shape, or form. However, the current administration and the current party in control, when it comes to economics, these people are like children. They have no frickin' clue about economics. They have no clue about they don't know what they're doing. They really don't. And I'm sorry to say this, but to spend 3.5 plus 1.5, gosh, that's $5 trillion, folks. I don't even have kids. So, I mean, I have no vested interest after I'm dead, per se. Really, I don't. I have no children or anything like that. So why am I so concerned? Because this is not the country we grew up in, folks. This is not the we cannot go and spend willy-nilly like this. It's just crazy. We're going to break the whole. I mean, the system is broken already. What are we going to do? Bury it now with spending spree like this? My recommendation is, whether you are blue flavor, whether you are red flavor or whether you're a flavor in between like I am. Call Joe Manchin, let him know to stick to his guns here. You can leave a message right here. That I believe that's his telephone right there, and just leave a polite message, just saying, "Hey, I'm such and such, and keep doing a good job, Joe. Don't cave in on their requests, because I'm telling you, folks." This is a nail in the coffin if they get this spending spree through. It really is for this country as far as economic goes. Unless you want to spend the rest of your life with getting a measly government check, because that's basically where it's heading to, is where they're going to put everybody on a check, just enough to get by, but not enough to live a real life in any way significant means at all. However, it's that's how they operate up there. So call Joe Manchin for sure at this number and tell him you're giving him your support and to hold the line, and that he's him and this other lady right here. I'm going to recommend you call her, whether you like him or not. These are the only two people standing up to these $5 trillion in crazy spending and the end of our economic empire here, pretty much. Well, it's the end of the economic empire anyway, but these folks are going to just put the nail in the coffin. Call this lady as well, and there's her phone number in Washington, and leave a message if you can, and support her as well for saying no to this $3.5 trillion. Now, both Manchin and this lady right here are going to both want to pass the $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill. They kind of said they would, but it's off limits when it comes to them. They say they don't want to spend a $3.5 trillion social program, which is really. Let's not get into it. It's a Marxist dream, in my opinion. But $3.5 trillion. Call up Joe Manchin and call up this lady right here, Kirsten, I believe it is, and Senator Sinema, and let them know you're supporting them, and have them, tell them to hold the line, don't cave into these people. Who knows what's going to happen? They just very well may, but no less. Give them a call, let them know you have their, support them in their effort not to bankrupt this country. All right, let's get on to precious metals. What's going on here? GATA.org. The website that if you are if you want to know what's really going on and who the players and who the manipulators are, you need to have this website on your bookmark bar. And it's kind of interesting what's going on here. India's gold imports surge as price corrects ahead of festival. So that's a good sign that the Indian gold market is starting to heat up again. The Indians buy gold, in a jewelry form fashion mostly, but it's more, for them, it's a store of wealth. And I think the Indian people have the correct view of gold and silver. They look at it as a store of wealth. They look at it as a store of value. They invest in their businesses. They invest in other things. But when it comes to gold and silver, it's all about wealth preservation. And that's one thing that's very impressive about the people of India, is they fully understand, unlike a lot of Americans and Europeans, they fully understand the value of wealth insurance, which is basically what gold and silver is, wealth preservation. So that's kind of cool to see they're going to be back up running. Did Chairman Chow, close enough. Did Fed Chairman Powell sabotage the Shelton nomination? That's kind of an interesting story, but we won't get into that right now. This is really interesting here. Read more. Hidalgo Mining files suit against JP Morgan of manipulating silver prices. This is going to be interesting to see where this goes right here, folks. Florida-based, I'm going to read this real quick. A Florida-based silver miner has filed damages against JP Morgan, accusing the bank of manipulating the silver market to push prices so low the company's mine had to close. The complaint filed on Tuesday in the U.S. District Court for Southern District of Florida said the Hidalgo Mining Company raised $10.35 million from investors at a financial silver mine in Mexico that began production around 2012 and stopped in 2014. Silver prices averaged around $31 an ounce in 2012 and $19 an ounce in 2014. JPM, of course, declined to comment. Hidalgo's claim, seen by Reuters, uses as evidence information from an investigation by U.S. regulators that found JP Morgan staff between 2000. See, now this is interesting. This makes me wonder why, just this one small mining company in Florida has been the only company to sue. Because think about this. Really, think about this for a second. JP denied manipulating markets for years and years and years. So you really couldn't sue someone until a case was proven. But guess what? There's been a case proven. So right now, it's a ripe opportunity for mining companies. It's a ripe opportunity for any, even myself. I think I could go in and maybe start a lawsuit against JP and say, listen, I lost a lot of money during that period. I mean, there could be huge class action suits with the right attorneys right now that could really put the nail in the coffin with JP and these other manipulators, because they got caught. There's evidence now. Now they can't say we didn't do it. Now, when you go into a civil court with these guys, oh yeah, you've been charged criminally. You had to pay a fine for this. I don't know if they got no criminal charges, but yeah, you have already been charged with manipulating. You got fined by the government almost $1 billion. So yeah, you did it. At this point, these cases are pretty much made. But again, one small company, but it's nice to see. I don't know if any other miners have sued JP and these other ones, but I think this is something we're going to see more and more of. And again, the fact that they actually got caught and they paid the fines and they admitted the wrongdoing, I think this is going to be good for civil suits against JP and these other banks for manipulating the price of silver and gold. This could be a really good thing. Let's see what happens from here. And let me just go back one. Let's go back here. Discusses metal market manipulation, U.S. And gosh, folks, I always say it. It just seems like everything is manipulated out there. Every damn thing, from markets to elections to this or that. It's just insane. And at some point, we got to put our foot down, man. And I really think it's all comes out of DC, if you ask me, and that's my opinion. Well, let's stay on the topic of gold real quick here, and I don't want to deviate. One of the things that I love people hearing, or I love hearing, well, gold, Warren Buffett said like gold was an old relic. But of course, not too long after that, I guess he bought a large position of gold too. So never do what they say, do what they do. And this applies to central banks. Even our own bank, the Federal Reserve, and European central banks, and the Chinese central banks, and obviously the Poland central banks. Look what they buy: 100 tons of gold in 2022 is what Poland plans on buying. These are the central bankers, folks. These are the people that run the world. This is Oz behind the curtain. The central banks. What do they own? They own gold. What do they stick in their vaults? They stick gold in their vaults. I mean, silver too, if they could, probably, but gold is kind of covers it all, covers all the bases. It's the top tier, silver being the second tier, in my opinion. Maybe not for long, but gold is a top tier. It's wealth preservation. They know it. We know it. A few of us know it at least. But the people in the economic worlds, the talking heads on TV, the talking heads on Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, all these, I won't say it, they're clueless when it comes to precious metals. And especially if they're under the age of 40 or 30 or something like that. They don't remember these past markets. They don't know what hard money is. They don't even know what legit, well, I'm not going to say legit candidates look like. So, well, I guess we didn't know back then either. And again, I digress. But look what the banks are buying. Poland Central Bank, 100 tons of gold. They're all buying gold, folks. They're all announcing. They're not buying cryptocurrencies. They're not buying Bitcoin. They're not even buying their own central bank coins that they're talking about trying to implement so they can force us into a cashless society. They don't put that in their vaults. None of that. That's all nonsense. It's all fiat. It's worthless. They put gold in their vaults and silver. Not silver, but they put gold. Again, which brings up the price of silver. I don't want my silver peeps out there to think I'm ignoring silver, but gold kind of leads the way for us, folks. So we do have to watch gold. Gold's the older sibling. Silver's the second sibling. And they kind of follow each other. They always have. That's just the way it works. So where gold goes, silver will go as well. And what do central banks own? They own tons of gold. Tons of gold. As I said, they don't own diamonds. They're not buying oil. They're not putting cryptocurrencies, even their own dollars. They're not putting the Chinese central bank isn't loading up their vaults with yuan, and the United States isn't loading up their vaults with $100 bills. And again, I said none of them would even consider getting into the crypto market. They know what that is. That's just a digital fiat. Again, I am not anti-crypto. I think crypto is kind of like a casino in some ways. Maybe not too unlike some Wall Street investments out there right now. I'm a free market capitalist, so I believe as long as people, if you can make money without harming someone else, when I say harming them, physically harming them, if they harm themselves economically because of their stupidity, that's fine. I'm not I got no issues with that. If they were conned, that's a different story. But no less, if people want to play the crypto markets, what do you own? You own nothing. You don't even own the numbers. You own a string of numbers, encryption, numbers and letters or whatever they use to encrypt it. You don't even own those numbers and letters. You just have them. So that's about really it. That's all you really own. It's just a string of numbers, random numbers. And you can write them down, sure, and on a piece of paper you physically own something. You own a piece of paper with some ink on it, and that's about it. They're nothing, folks. Again, just another form of fiat, even worse than the dollar itself. Now, I know there's a limited supply of cryptos out there, but, again, what is it? It's not much different than, well, anyways, I'm going to sound like I'm railing on it, which I don't want to do. I think there's room for all these type of things out there as long as people know what they're getting into. And that's the reason I haven't gotten into it. I know it's gone up. Someone said, oh, it's gone up 12%, or this money went from 41,000 to 50,000. Of course it would. Anytime you get a large group of people all of a sudden rushing into a limited amount of thing, that's simple supply and demand. There's nothing special about Bitcoin other than what you're seeing is a supply and demand factor. You've got a limited amount. You've got a certain amount of people that want to throw their money into it. But like all other deals like that involve large amounts of people putting their money into it, the guys that usually are the biggest players out there, what they'll do is they'll come out and they'll just pull out their money when all the retail players are. And it's like the stock market a little bit. If they're making money off you, they're fine with that. But when they see an opportunity to fleece you, they will. And that's exactly what happens in the Bitcoin market as well. Gold doesn't happen there as much. Well, gold doesn't happen because you physically own it in your hands. It's not like you got an ETF or anything like that. It does exist. And the beauty of gold, again, it's made by colliding neutron stars. That's what I think I was told, which is a very rare occurrence. And it's not made by some guy named Satoshi. But I digress in a big way. I just kind of wanted to point out, what Oz, the guy behind the curtain, what the guys that run the world, what they own. They own gold, folks, and they don't own any other investments. So I can't stress enough how powerful owning gold is. Let's just take a look at ZH real quick and look, short squeezes, crypto news. Critical tipping point for dollar precious metal stocks, and that's Sprott Money. Boy, he's like me. He's always got something to say. The police state's reign of terror continues with help from the Supreme Court, of course. Which countries have the most nukes? Again, I'm going to take a look at. I knew this. Coffee is America's favorite drink. I knew this because it's my favorite drink. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a quick sip here. Give me one sec. Got me right on this one too. Next to coffee, it would be wine. I do like wine. Let's see here. Oh, gosh, I don't know what to say. Just do away with this person. Visualize the rise of cryptocurrency transactions. An interesting article. I clicked on it. It was talking about people transacting, and that the problem with the crypto world right now is that not a lot of people are accepting it in their transactions. And really, you don't. I think that if I don't even know, maybe 1% of the merchants in the world accept crypto, if that. I just don't see any merchants wanting to accept something that moves around so much in such large degrees, and from 51,000 to 41,000. Now, I suspect using it as a payment, they probably instantly turn it into cash, so you don't have much market risk. But who? I don't know. It's just crazy. Who wants to own something that not even own? Who wants to own ether? Who wants to own dead space? Nothing. And have to deal with such a volatility on top of it. You know what I'm saying? I could imagine cryptos. I never see it happening to gold or silver ever. But I could see it happening to cryptos where those things could revert to zero or go bankrupt. You're never going to see gold and silver go bankrupt, but I could see cryptos go bankrupt for a couple of reasons. Some of them having to do with the internet itself. Some of them have to do with regulation and or being outlawed, or just people just saying, screw it, I'm not interested in that anymore. But after, gold and silver's got a good track record, 5,000 years, folks. What else are we looking at here? We already saw that Poland central bank to buy 100 tons of gold, and as institutions pile into cryptos. I didn't even read that, really. In a time when institutions are increasingly shifting away from fiat currency and looking towards cryptos, it's worth recalling that at least when it comes to central banks, there is no digital gold. There's just gold. And to be sure, in times of unprecedented economic and social turmoil, central bankers' appetite for gold continues to grow, providing a bright spot for the traditional haven as investor interest ebbs, according to the World Gold Council. So, they're basically saying things big on bullion. Thailand, look at that. Hungary, Brazil, India. What do the central bankers, the most educated economic people out there, own? They own gold. They don't own Bitcoin. They don't own their own fiat even. They own gold. Let's take a look at, again, good article here by Tyler Durden, Poland Central Bank to buy 100 tons of gold. I recommend you read that. You can read it for free in ZH. A couple good articles on Seeking Alpha as well here. This is done by Frank Holmes, and I'm going to just kind of read the summary here. Gold finds support as key inflation rates hit a 30-year high. Inflation in the U.S. is surging at the fastest pace since 1991. Brent crude roughly topped $80 a barrel, and high oil prices have historically helped airline carriers demonstrate a certain level. I don't know what that has to do with gold or metals or anything. Let's take a look here. Contrary to popular belief, what's good for goose is not always good for the gander. Last week, the U.S. dollar advanced against a basket of foreign currencies. For consumers and importers, this is good, as it means the greenback offers greater purchasing power. And for the price of gold, it says down here, and other commodities that are priced in U.S. dollar, this is a headwind. One of the things that I'm kind of confused is why would it be a headwind? The minor increase in the value of the dollar is really not increasing the value of the dollar. It's just it's not going down as bad as the other ones in buying power. Really, when they talk about dollar strength, the dollar advancing, it's only advancing. It's the last horse to reach the glue factory. So it's advancing backwards. It's going backwards, but it's the last horse to go backwards the fastest. So that's the way you should look at it. It's not advancing like the dollar is getting stronger. When they tell you the dollar's advancing, it's not buying more shit. It's not, worth more. It gets worth less every year. So this idea that a strong dollar, strong against what? Not strong against gold. And the only reason gold and silver are kept down at these levels because they are kept down. Again, a lot of manipulation in these markets. However, it's what central banks own. I can't stress that enough. They are not going to make it zero, and obviously until they fill up their vaults with gold, they're not going to let the price rise either as much. That probably involves financial institutions as well. But dollar strength, bullshit. Come on, there's no such thing as a strong dollar. It's just again, last horse in the glue factory. Interesting article in here. I often tell people that gold is the fourth most liquid asset, but the most recent data from the World Gold Council shows that it's actually the second most liquid asset following S&P 500 stocks. So that's kind of interesting that Frank points that out here. But I don't really believe that a strong dollar is... I hate the word strong dollar because there's nothing strong about it. It's just strong. It's just the least weakest. How's that? The least weakest of the group. And what else is on here? I recommend you read this article. It's well done by Frank Holmes. You can go to Seeking Alpha, and I don't think you need a subscription to read this stuff. But even if you needed a subscription, it's worth it. This site is pretty inexpensive to subscribe to, and they got some good stuff on here. And I'm not paid to say this. I don't even know who I exist. Another thing going on, Evergrande. If anyone thinks that this Evergrande deal is over, it is not. This is a domino effect. That again, central banks worldwide, institutions worldwide were able to put a temporary band-aid on it, not to mention the news media and the what they're talking about and how bad it really is not being discussed out there because they don't want people to panic. This is the advantage of controlling the source of news. Like censorship, like what we got going on out there. If governments and institutions, financial institutions and governments can squash free speech, even on their own platforms, FB, FUFB, by the way, then all is pretty much lost. Not all is lost, but we're going to have to find alternative forums to talk with each other, because that's what they're trying to prevent us to do. Of course, they can probably prevent an economic collapse by not telling us how bad Evergrande is. Well, they're not going to stop it, but what they can do is they can prevent us from bailing out and leaving them holding the bag instead of the opposite way around, which is the way it typically happens. So Evergrande, the biggest ever China crisis is looming. I'm sorry. Evergrande is just a representative of the overleveraging in Chinese economy. The Chinese economy is driven by real estate, and there's some big problems right here. Inflation is the biggest risk for your wealth, and this is true. Evergrande's collapse will have broad implications. It is, because the Chinese economy, regardless of what you say about it, is one of the biggest on the planet, and was helping hold things up. You know what I mean? If China goes down, it's going to take down a lot of other people too as well. Statistically, the CPI shows another aspect of inflation. About 30% of the CPI is housing, but the housing costs not just real estate prices. Publicly, the U.S. government continues to print money and leverage assets more and more, with potentially little conception of the possible long-term damage that it could be causing. Well, I disagree with equity management in this assessment right here, that the government continues to print with little conception of the long. They know exactly what the conception is. Central banks, and especially the Federal Reserve, they know exactly what's happening. They're on a sinking ship. They're on the Titanic. They're going down. All the people in the world are going to go down with them. We're neck deep in water right now, and the federal bankers, the central bankers, the Federal Reserve is saying, relax, nothing to see here, folks. Enjoy the dip. And that's what their job is. They're going to milk this, and then when everything falls apart and falls to pieces, that would be what the reset is. The reset is them taking charge again, bankrupting everything, owning a huge amount of gold in their vaults, not cryptos, not currencies, not whatever, gold. Huge amounts of gold. They'll say, okay, screw it, it's a reset time. Listen, folks, these people are not our friends. You know what I'm saying? Having hard money, having your currency backed by something like gold and silver, which this country should go back to, and there's ways to do it. Don't let people tell you, oh, we can't go back to the gold standard. It limited our ability to print money. Bullshit. It limited the amount that again, there's ways around that you could do. It doesn't have to be fully backed by gold, partially backed by gold. The only thing it limited is a politician's ability to, if you're on some kind of gold standard right now, they wouldn't be talking about a $3.5 trillion social program. What is a social program? More or less, it's $3.5 trillion of buying votes, folks. That's what that program is. It's nothing more. It's a DNC buying votes for $3.5 trillion. And even the infrastructure package. What people that work in construction on roads and road companies are going to complain about getting $1.5 trillion? They're all going to have their hands out. They buy votes, folks. But ultimately, like I said, I have no children after I'm dead. It won't matter as much to me, but I do care. I do care, and you should too. So make sure you call Manchin and the other Senator Kirsten there today. Go back and look at this video and call both of these folks. Let them know that they can't let this happen. And maybe we'll get into a calling mode one day and start talking about getting back on a gold standard, but I don't think that's happening in our lifetime. These people love fiat too much. And what else is going on? Today's chart, the gold bull market has years to run. A chart guy. Okay. Speaking of chart guys, I had a good conversation and comments with the chart guy recently. And I met one in my store, a really smart guy that's been doing charts for a living for a long time. So I'm learning a little bit more about them and having a little interesting conversation where I'm learning something and I'm asking questions that I'm not familiar with when it comes to charts. Like, can charts spot the manipulators? And are there charts out there that can prove manipulation? Those are the charts that I'd like to see too. This market has years to run. This is by John Rubino, and I have to agree with John. We are just in the strange, slow stages of a bull market. We've been in the bull market since 2016. This is a long-term thing, folks. I think that we'll start to see this market heat up in the next couple years. I mean, to epic levels like we've never seen. They typically run in 10-year cycles, but then I'm going to question even if they do run in 10-year cycles. I have a sneaking suspicion that Gold and silver is gold especially is heavily manipulated when the price gets higher than what the powers to be want it to be, and then they monkey hammer it down, causing people to kind of get out of it and get into their shitty ass investments, fiats and Wall Street investments and stuff, companies that have no solid fundamentals other than people just throw money at them. But again, I digress. He says the recent back and forth precious metal action has a lot of people frustrated with both the metals and permeables in the space. Natural gas and coal prices are soaring, and the boring market action gold looks like the calm before the storm. That's exactly what it is, folks. It's the calm before the storm. We've seen this happen in, what was it, 2001, when the gold market started heating up in 2001, 2002. So when we started to see that market slowly pick up. There were periods of calm, and we're in that right now. We're in kind of like a sideways period right now. Good article by John Rubino, again, Seeking Alpha. You can read this stuff for free. Wall Street Silver, love these guys. And to my viewers out there or new people watching here, if you're new to gold and silver, and I know, folks, I talk a lot about gold, but where gold goes, silver will often follow. And I honestly believe silver is going to outperform gold percentage-wise by a wide margin. Huge margin. That's my opinion, of course. Both are great for wealth preservations, but I think silver, if you got to look at it as an investment, I think silver will have the biggest payout. However, it will have the most pain too. You'll have the most pain because of the swings and the manipulation in that market. And remember, when I don't want to turn people off when I talk about manipulation, because remember, everything's manipulated in your life from the day you're born. We watch it, we see it. The news people, the governments, they manipulate us. Institutions, financial institutions, they manipulate us. So we're manipulated by everybody to some degree. The real key is waking up and spotting that. So I don't want anyone to get discouraged when I talk about manipulation in any market, because as my favorite saying with Robert Heinlein says, of course the game is rigged, but don't let that bother you. If you don't play, you can't win. And that's true. You have to play to win. And how do you beat these guys? Well, you understand what they're doing. Once you understand what they're doing, it makes it much easier to win. That's for sure. And we will win, folks. Trust me. If you've been following my videos and you've been listening to me, in my opinion, we're going to win on this deal. Wall Street Silver, again, love the enthusiasm of these guys. Nice to see guys out there buying the lower premium products. I advertise to beat JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and APMEX Bullion, big online companies. I don't think there's anything wrong with those companies, and I'm highly competitive, and I'm going to sell you the better products. So, if you look at their pages, they're loaded with lots of overpriced crap. And again, that's not their fault. Maybe it just sells. Maybe they make more money on it. However, again, I advertise to beat their prices, but I only deal locally. And I recommend, and I'm going to go into my little buy local thing here. And where is my buy local? Support your local businesses. Don't buy online if you don't have to, even if you have to pay a tiny bit more. Buy local. Develop a local relationship, especially when it comes to gold and silver, because at some point you're going to have to sell the stuff, and you are not going to want to ship it through the mail. Trust me. You don't want to ship your metals back, so find yourself a good local person, even if it's an hour drive or a 2-hour drive. Get yourself someone in your state, in your county, or in your city if you can, and deal with them. And ask them, say, hey, listen, can you compete with the APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion? And can you at least match the prices or get near it? And they should be able to, unless it's weird esoteric products, which who cares? Stay away from that stuff anyway, unless you can buy it for under $4 per ounce. I think there's going to be a shortage of product coming up here, folks, too, as well. Let me just scan through Wall Street Silver and look at a few things here. This guy, I hope he got a good deal. He probably could have paid around spot plus $3, maybe a tiny bit more for that, and got about what we would sell it for. These particular products are around spot plus $3.75. However, there's going to be a shortage of generic coming up here, folks, pretty soon. And don't pay more than $3.75 over them, but that could change. I'll let you know this week. I'm told there's some shortages coming up in silver products, so expect to see rising premiums for sure, and certain products not available. Not familiar with those, but if he's paying no more than spot plus $3.25, he's okay. No, not a nice little stack here. Now, these are spot plus $3. Cheapest way to buy silver right now is 100-ounce bars, so spot plus $3. You should be paying no more than that. I imagine kilogram bars are the same. Maybe a tiny bit more. And most of these products, not really recommending some of these products. Oh, that's a good deal. Britannia's, I think if you're paying spot plus 375 or less, you're fine, or 395 or less, you should be good. And KRs, I'm not really sure what the premium is on this, but any of this product, you're paying under $4 an ounce premium, you're doing okay. Again, I'd rather see you buy stuff like that Spot Plus 3, like this Pan American bar here. God, that's a cute meme, because that's true. Look, Pierce Bronson, there's the old 007. Look what our society's reduced our 007 to today. It's kind of sad. And I love Wall Street silver. Again, the memes are the greatest. I've never seen memes on precious metals. These guys are great. They're creative, good enthusiasm. I think the stackers out here understand the value of wealth preservation. And they also understand the volatility of silver, too. Listen, if you can stomach cryptos where you own nothing, then you certainly should be able to stomach the moves in silver, without a doubt. That's my opinion. But the dip, it's still dipping. Some of this makes me laugh. It's cute. That's cute, though. But relax, sir. It's you can't time these dips all the time. And anything sub $30 silver, you're going to look back at one day and go, "Oh my God, you remember when silver was 30 bucks an ounce?" Oh, there's who I was talking about that I beat their prices. It looks like they're doing a sweepstakes. Nice to have that kind of money to do a sweepstake and give away a monster box. Are they? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, looks like it. I guess they made enough money they could do that. So, and I'm just a casual observer. According to Jeff, I'm not. Yes, you are, sir. You're in the silver market for sure. The moment you buy your first ounce and you start following it, you're in the silver market. Good product here. Again, should be paying no more than spot plus $3 on 100-ounce bars. This stuff right here should be around spot plus, I don't know what, 325, right in that range. Spot plus 350 maximum. Although, again, I think there's going to be a shortage in some of this stuff pretty soon, folks. I'd like to give a shout out to all the Wall Street silver posters out there for your enthusiasm and your cool ass posts and the great memes. And again, folks, if you're not involved with this and you're not familiar with Wall Street, just go to Reddit, sign up, and sign up for Wall Street Silver. There's some cool stuff out there. Here, my video from last week. I'm going to go over some comments. Thanks for watching too, folks. I appreciate it. And thanks for putting up with me being gone for a couple of days in my silly little fishing 1-minute fishing videos. Let's go down here and hit sort by newest comments. And quite a few comments here. Actually, yeah, there is. And first off, I'm going to kind of blow that up a little bit. And thank you, Joey. And you remind me to take a sip of my coffee here. I'd like to thank all you folks for watching. Heart of Texas, that is correct. Everything is rigged because no one is held accountable. Well, they are, apparently we held J.P. Morgan accountable, but there were no criminal charges. They just fined him, for manipulating silver market, like we were just talking about. J.P. got fined $900-something million, almost $1 billion in fines. However, nobody went to jail. If you or I did that to anybody on even such a small scale, you and I would be buried under a jail somewhere. The news would be talking about what scumbags we are. But no, when big entities do it and does it and governments do it, it's okay. Again, too big to fail, too big to jail. And that'll change one day. I hope people get pissed off and start calling senators and their Congress people more often. Not pissed off calling them, like yelling at them or anything, but pissed off saying, hey, listen, we can't tolerate this more. We can't spend that money anymore. You can't censor people anymore. Folks, we need to get more active. So that's, again, I'm digressing a little bit. Heart of Texas, there's isn't one. I would agree with you. There really isn't, I don't think, anymore. Maybe in some small island somewhere, but not on the big continents. Linda says, have fun here. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. I did. Looks like, yep, you read that one too, Broken Cran. JP may be sued by a silver mine for price manipulation. This could turn into a, maybe some other companies are just looking to see what happens to this little silver mine. But the problem is J.P. Morgan's pockets are so deep they can afford attorneys, unbelievable attorneys. I think it needs to be a class action suit by investors and miners against J.P. Morgan. Maybe I'll even look. Any attorneys out there want to discuss this with me? Maybe we all need to get a class action suit since we've already got the proof that they definitely manipulated the markets. That would be a great idea. Again, any attorneys listening, give me your thoughts on that in the comment section. Thanks. Yes, is morning message up to, yeah, I know, it's not crazy. I don't know, man. Let me take a deep breath here. Can't get upset about this stuff. Silver Britannias were high in demand during the dip. I managed to buy 5 of them at 20. Wonderful. That's great, Larry. Good to hear. Thank you, Z. I appreciate that as well. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. Physical markets are rigged. All the markets are rigged. Right now, the price of silver is a gift, so stack up. Deep. Thanks, Silver Loving Lou. I couldn't agree with you more, and that's what we've just been talking about. Linda says it looks at the charts and see patterns. To me, patterns include spoofing, rigging. If they do it, then I know the projection of the chart will include it based on past patterns. Yeah, it'd be interesting if someone just did charts on manipulation, pointing out who, what, how, where, and when. That would be awesome. Thanks for watching, Linda. And I think there's another gentleman that I had a conversation with about charts up here. And likely he's right. He knows his charts. Mayor Pride 777, good to see you posting. Thank you. Yeah, Captain Brad, when I said milking the golden goose, I figured afterwards, yeah, that someone's going to get a laugh out of milking the golden goose. Milking them for eggs, how's that? But yeah, we're killing the golden goose, and that's what that 1.5 trillion and the 3.5 trillion dollar spending package, if we don't shoot it down, it's going to kill the golden goose for sure. However, it's good for us gold and silver peeps. So, but I still want to encourage you. We don't need it that way. You don't want to see the entire world take a shit, go to shit, just to make a couple bucks. You know, we're going to make money anyway in precious metals. So let's do it in a way that we don't destroy our country as well. Chris Fetter says, hope you catch what you set out to catch. And release the stresses that may be stressing you out. Yeah, a little stressed out there for a little while. Actually, I'm going to do a little thing on FB, Facebook. Facebook actually cut my account off after 12 years for quoting the Mises Institute. And they're still online. I quoted something they said. But anyway, that's for another. I was happy to see what happened to them the other day, bastards. Yeah, I had my family, friends, big account that I had for years just completely cut off. I'll talk about that another time here. I'm trying to keep it precious metals like. Thanks for watching. Yeah, you were right, ZZYZX RDFY15. That was an insult to grade schoolers. Yeah, you have to click on that to find out what I was talking about. But yeah, I did insult the grade schoolers. Sorry about that. Thanks for watching, man. William says, I hope they keep spoofing. I don't have to worry about paying any fines. I get a benefit of cheap prices. You know, that's the way to look at the spoofing that they're doing, William. You got to look at it as, again, the game is rigged, but if you know how it's rigged, you can win. And how do you win? Well, every time they spoof these prices lower and they smack these prices down, take physical off the market. Don't buy into their ETFs and their paper bullshit. Don't do it. Take physical off the market, whether it's gold or silver, and tell your friends to, tell your family. Don't preach to them, you know, but tell them the advantages of owning the real stuff and what that will eventually do. And again, lack of third-party risk, the most important thing. When the economy takes a big shit, and it will, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, is what we're looking at in the next giant 2008 crisis, the greatest bubble of all time we're going to see. And we're going to see it in our lifetimes, and probably coming up soon, folks. Boy, if they do pass that $5 trillion in spending, that may be the catalyst that just blows it over the edge. I don't want to see it happen that fast. I don't want to see them spend that money. But, you know, the Fed's already printed enough money to cause gold and silver to triple and quadruple. So, you know, we're in a good position. What I don't want to really see is the entire country go through massive pain. You know, even people I disagree with, I don't want to see them go through massive pain. Thanks for watching, William. I appreciate it. Cryptos are a way for the rich to hide billions in a digital matrix and be hide from prying. They can't hide it, though. That's the problem. They control it, do whatever they want with it. I believe they do control it. Cryptos, you know, at one time didn't have the whales in there. Now they have the whales, and it's an unregulated market. So it's almost like a casino that has no regulations, or not regulated by the state or the federal government. You know, that's what cryptos are right now. Very little regulation. You got huge manipulators and whales in it, and it's just the house of pain. As Kramer would say, for people that don't know how that game is rigged and played. And ultimately, if that thing just went belly up and they reverted to zero, which is possible because you don't really own anything, you'd have been better off. Hey, if you're making money in cryptos, make sure you put some of that money away in gold. And who keeps bothering me on my phone, ringing the same line over and over? I'm going to go smack that phone. Sorry about that. Linda says the reason for the cars is the lack of chips. Farmers who paid are not paid to plant food. Yeah, that's the problem we're having with cars right now, is the lack of chips, which seems really surprising to me. How does that happen, you know? We should bring chip manufacturing back to the United States because I can see some bad stuff. Maybe there's a lack of silver. Isn't that an interesting conspiracy to make the chips? Michael Matthew says, use charts to prepare for the future. After all, history repeats itself. And thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And Roy, appreciate your good luck on your fishing trip. Master Sensei, yeah, pointing out the up and down days. Master Sensei, remember, you were going to see big up and down days. You just got to, one day you're going to look at sub $30 silver and you're going to go, oh gosh, I remember when it was that price. It's just like we look at $10 silver and $5 silver now. It'll be in the past and you'll wish you had bought a lot more, even on the up days and even on the down days. Thanks for watching, sir. Not Your Problem says the only reason you see the dollar gaining strength is because most international debts are denominated in U.S. dollars. Therefore, those debts were issued internationally must be paid back in U.S. dollars. That's why you see demand for it, which leads to strength in currency. For example, no one in Bolivia and Venezuela will buy a bond or anything denominated in bolivars. However, if that enterprise issues a bond denominated in U.S. dollars, most Venezuelans will go for it. Now multiply, we are, we were the world currency reserve. I mean, we still are, and as I said, the Federal Reserve, the smartest guys on the planet, supposedly, in my opinion, they probably are. The fact that they've been able to convince us that we're neck deep in water, they've been able to convince us that the ship is not sinking. I think they're smart. And but again, last horse to the glue factory. There's no strength in the word dollar. We should just say we are the least weak of the weakest. I like that term better than strong dollar. We are least weak of the weakest. Thanks for watching. Not Your Problem. I appreciate it. Stephen Winpenny says the same thing. I actually said what he just said. Gold comes from neutron stars. Neutron stars are rare stars, so gold comes from rare stars. A hot, dense, expanding cloud of debris is stripped from a neutron star just before they collide. This cloud produces a kilonova. Ooh, I like that word. Astronomical event that occurs when two neutron stars or a neutron star and a black hole merge into each other. Within this neutron-rich debris, large quantities of some of the universe's heavy elements are forged, including hundreds of Earth masses of gold and platinum. That is just so cool. Spread out over all of the universe, probably from that neutron star collision and explosion. However, I agree 100%. Gold is made by stars, made by the stars, very rare events, unlike cryptos, which is made by some guy named Satoshi, probably the CIA. All right, that's conspiracy. Thanks for watching, Stephen. I appreciate it. You ordered your 2021 proof silver sets. One thing I'm going to do for sure, Dr. Vaughn, is DV Vaughn, I'm sorry. I'm going to start talking about rare coins pretty soon. I'll include it in these videos right here. I also want to do a political show at some point, which I'm going to totally segregate from here because in political shows, you have a good chance of being nixed, you know what I mean? Them deplatforming. You're deplatforming something they don't like that's said. So I might separate that from here. But meanwhile, I think I'm going to start talking about coins too. Thanks for watching, DV1. Celeste, good to see you. That's absolutely true. And cuts by 1,000 deaths sounds like silver investing since May. That's kind of what I was talking about. It's not 1,000 deaths. It's just 1,000 little cuts. I think that's the newest manipulative to try to get the mindset of people out of precious metals. Instead of these big takedowns they were doing, I think they realize they're not working. Now they're going to do it in tiny little cuts just to see if they can discourage people from investing in gold and silver. But it's not going to work. Why? Because we know how the game is played. We know how the game is rigged. And we're going to win at this one. Brian says, my friend is someone, this gentleman, Brian Davies, 4 days ago. And I had a good conversation with him. I hope I didn't sound too, I didn't want to sound too, he knows his charts. He's been charting for 30 years. I can tell you unequivocally, charts take into consideration everything, including fraud and or manipulation. And he says I was wrong on what I said. I think I mentioned that I thought that I believe that charts are great maps of where you've been and can show you where you're going occasionally, but I don't think they're, I'm not seeing charts be correct most time when it comes to gold and silver. But anyway, let me read the rest of what he says here. He's very nice the way he pointed it out. He didn't call me a jerk or anything. Oh, you jerk, you're wrong. And I respect that. I never learned anything from a man I agreed with, that's for sure. Case in point, using current silver chart, I'll go on record saying we have 90% probability that the bottom is in, rally 2750, and a shallow correction before an enormous breakout. Oh, God, I'm just going to agree with you because I like that statement. I hope you're right. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. We're going to see a breakout here at some point. But if you're not experienced chartist, then you really are not in a position to discount the value of charting. Well, I think I made a couple comments in here. Again, I don't agree with that start statement. If you're not experienced and you really are not in a position to discount the value of charting. Again, if charts were correct all the time, then there wouldn't be a market. It'd be like if I caught fish all the time, they wouldn't call it fishing, or they call it catching. And charts are not correct a lot of times when they talk about, I read these chartist guys. This last year I've been reading more into it, and they say if it does this, if it does that, if it does this, if it breaks this line, if it breaks that line. And of course, a lot of ifs in there. So of course, if you say it might go up or it might go down if it does this or does that, but really, does it empirically tell you that, it absolutely tell you where you're going? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But I'm kind of curious to see, and I made a few comments down here if you want to read them in the comment section. Again, I hope I didn't sound aggressive at all. It also occurred to me that charts can point out manipulation and fraud. Market as are. Well, anyway, if you want to read the comments that Mr. Davies and I had, go ahead. I think it's kind of an interesting topic, and please chime in, but be polite about it. And thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you commenting. Again, I'm learning more, and I still think my comments down here are valid, and I don't think you're entirely correct on there. But no less, thanks for watching, Brian. I appreciate it, and I hope we can have some more civil discussions. That's what the world needs, more civil discussions, because you'll never learn anything from people you agree with, that's for sure. You mostly learn from people you disagree with if you keep an open mind. Mr. Valentine says we should be careful of money disposal. If you're not spending to earn or get back money, then stop spending. Absolutely. One man's trash is another man's trash. That's true. I heard that somewhere. That's an old saying. And yeah, I don't know where your 10-ounce bar and limited edition silver set. And where's your paycheck? Oh my gosh! Oh, you're talking about a stimmy? You want a new stimmy check, Sonny? Just vote for the Anyway, don't call those two senators I told you, and we'll probably get a stimmy check. Jay Swanner says, meanwhile, Bitcoin is up for 12% over the week. I think I made a comment. I made a smart ass comment here. My apology, Jay Swanner. And I put on here, my friend Jack doubled up at the casino on one hand. Hope he kept it. He usually buys gold. That was like a snarky comment on my point. Thanks for commenting, Jay Swanner. You are correct, but as I point out, that's my belief and my opinion on crypto, as I've talked about here during this video. Again, I don't fault anybody for playing it any more than I fault someone for going to a casino and making money or losing money. It's your money. You just got to know what you're doing and know who the players are and know how the game is rigged. Entanglement Entropy says Ted Butler stresses spoofing as a red herring. Absolutely correct. I really didn't bring it up because they have got caught spoofing. JP got caught red-handed. So we've got civil cases already that are in the books. You know what I mean? In writing, it's in stone. But the real manipulation is in the concentrated short positions, and absolutely true that the worthless CFTC and the worthless DOJ choose to ignore. Well, I don't think the DOJ has any understanding of those markets. Most people in Washington, D.C. are clueless when it comes to economics anyway, so would you expect them to know anything more? No. But the CFTC, you would, except I think the CFTC, they're either clueless or ignoring it because eventually they want to get a job working for JP. Or maybe they did work for JP, and now this is how these institutions work. Usually these companies, these people, regulators, end up working for the companies they were regulated. This is true, folks. Look it up yourself. That's probably the competent ones. The incompetent ones are the ones that do nothing as well. My opinion, I can't disagree with you at all, sir. Classic misdirection. But again, I wasn't trying to misdirect anyone. I was just pointing out the facts. And legally, the facts right now is they have been convicted in civil courts of spoofing. We have not yet been able to prove that the concentrated short positions, or haven't got anybody to regulate or charge them with these short positions, these naked shorts, as Ted talks about. I love Ted Butler. I'm going to subscribe to his service, actually. You just convinced me that I need to and start talking about more of his stuff. Well, thanks for watching, folks. This is Brian Kuzmar, and as I say, support your local businesses. You can always probably get the better price than if you shopped online, especially when it comes to gold and silver products. Just find yourself a good local dealer. They may be grumpy, but hell, you can deal with the grumpiness as long as you're buying metals at your prices. Why not? And don't spend more than you have to. Hey, thanks for watching. It's good to be back, and this is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4. Happy to help you out with whatever you need. Hey, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.